Welcome to the part 2 of Nature of Social Science Research. I already talked to the previous MA in Gandhi and Peace Studies, MA GPS. This is MGPE 015, Introduction to Research Methods. This is an elective course, and I already talked about in part 1 of Nature of Social Science Research. I talked about why we do research, what is definition of social science research, what is research method, and I also spoke origin of social sciences and physical sciences, the major difference, and what are the major characteristic of social science research. All those things I spoke in the part 1. Those are very important because before getting into social science research, one should know what is its purpose, characteristics, relevance, whether you work in as a academic person or you work in policy domain. These are very important. We need to know the history of social science as a subject, as a discipline, and there are also various branches within that I'll talk here in this section. But part 2, in this we'll talk about two types of social research, methods of social research, qualities of good research, and research and development, various branches, discipline in social sciences, and conclusion. So let me start with types of research. If we talk about types of research, there are two types of research. First one is basic research, then applied research. Basic research is an original investigation into the reasons behind a process, phenomenon, or particular event. It focuses on generating knowledge around existing basic principle. It is generally considered non-commercial research because it doesn't focus on solving practical problems and has no immediate benefit or ways it can be applied. So already in the previous section I mentioned utilitarian research and academic. It is almost similar. When you talk about academic research, it is mainly basic research. They are knowledge oriented. They don't see the immediate benefit of that. But though if we see many times there are convergence. Like in academic lab also find research that are very much commercial, very much utilitarian, and there are partly they combine together. This is the latest trend, but real academic, since you see the history of academics, they are mainly concerned about basic research. You talk even today the sciences, basic sciences, physics, chemistry, biology and all, they talk about basic things, and they talk about knowledge and discovering new knowledge, verifying old knowledge and all those things. Whereas applied research, it is related to investigating well-known theories and principles in order to enhance knowledge around the practical aim. Because of this, applied research focus on problem solving real life problems by deriving knowledge which has an immediate application. For example, I mentioned already many NGO sector they use this kind of research which they call action research, applied research, market agency industries they use marketing research. These and sometimes government itself does research and policy related. So these are all coming under applied research where we find research is related to finding the immediate solution of something like you talk about how to create impact on people. So for example, in studying the behavior of poor people, what actually make them empower. You have to go to their social thinking, interaction, psychological level. So you try to change by knowing what they are through psychology, through sociology. It is mainly applied research are also interdisciplinary. So we find like for example the behavior of migrant, the COVID response to migrant population and their response to COVID-19. So all these are, immediately we need what is, to like you to, give vaccines, to, educate them, create awareness. These are all immediate goals, and we need applied research for that. And similar way you see market, purchasing behavior of people, consumer behaviors, and all those things. Many, agencies they do. Pepsi does, so as the vehicle, those who sell those. And these days it in very easy because this mobile what we are using, social media we are using, automatically data is going there and they know our behavior. So the part of the applied research is now using the behavior of people online, and this is very much problematic sometimes because our data are no more personal, and anybody can misuse the data. But this is part of applied research. People know the behavior of a person through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through other, and that data goes to Amazon and other. So they do research to know the behavior of. So methods of research. If you see methods of research, there are two methods, especially inductive methods, bottom-up approach. You take simple, study few things, generalize. Deductive method is just opposite. It is you come to conclusion from theory to apply to the grassroots. Inductive reasoning aims at developing a theory, while deductive reasoning aims at testing an existing theory. For example, Weber studies, Protestant ethics and theory of capitalism. He was talking that how people in Protestant in, tradition, Christianity tradition, they value literacy, they value certain writing skill, reasoning, rationality, bureaucracy and all. That helps them to become capitalist, to become entrepreneurs and all this. This is studying few people, he generalized that. And then you find how to test that after 100 years. Today you find many other communities are also becoming very prosperous without having any Protestant ethics, whatever they had in 19th century. We don't have that, but still people are, today you see people from China, India, they are also equally prosperous. So there are things which are changing, we have to test. Now Weberian theories also critiqued. Same thing happened to all social science theories. Deductive and inductive, these are two major approaches. In fact, it originally is a philosophical tradition, but used in all social sciences. Methods of research, and this especially when you talk about inductive and deductive, it has important use also. Inductive approach is mostly used in quantitative research that aims at finding rich descriptive data. You get some data and you generalize. You take the behavior of people, how, for example, COVID-19, Omicron now is coming, how it is spreading. You take sample of few people, then next you observe, next, then see the growth chart. It is, almost sometimes 50% growth, 40% growth and all. You generalize that this particular virus is growing faster in this much percentage. So within a month it can expand to this much. So this is the, you can predict, you can inference based on the inductive approach. Whereas the deductive approach is mostly used in quantitative research that mostly deals with numbers. Okay, inductive theorizes and deductive actually test the theory. So use of observation, especially another usage. In inductive research, the researcher attempt to find patterns through observation. In deductive research, the researcher uses observation with the intention of validating the pattern. So as I mentioned, theorizing is mostly inductive, where in fact you can do quantitative work but you theorize it. But deductive research is theory, you test it and bring quantity. For example, if you want to test what is the particular impact of a theory, historical materialism, right? As I mentioned in previous section, whether materialism decides everything, there are no other variables. You can test with modern society, new society. People are also happy without materialism, without having prosperity. You can challenge the theory also in some different, whether only economic power will help you to prosper. There are also examples where people having knowledge power without having much property like other things, they also prosper. So there are theories which are relevant to certain time, certain period, which are not also relevant to some other time and some other period. So many theories and all you can test through deductive. Then qualities of a good research. When you talk about any good research, whether in physical science or social science, you always find somebody says research found this. We believe that because we always think that there is something methodology behind that there is but replicability, reproducibility, transparency. That's why people value research. When somebody says something, we don't believe, but somebody say it's found after research, people believe it. And same thing happen with the vaccine. If people say that vaccines are no problematic, serious adverse impact, then people accept. But somebody just say, people may not accept. So research has a value. Qualities of good research also, it is grounded in theoretical framework. It is built on but also offers something new to previous research. If we just keep on repeating same thing, it will not have any value because research, the real good research is based on finding something new. Either you change the variable, change the location, time and all, test this, find something new. So then only its value is important. It has a potential to suggest direction for future research also. You see, research is one aspect we saw. It also grounded in theoretical framework. It also built on previous research. It also gives direction to research. In fact, all the research we call the in science, especially paradigm shift, Kuhn's falsification and all we call in scientific theory of scientific revolution. In this, what happened? All the research built on the previous research, they either falsify or they accept it, then they give something new. So new research comes. If it is very much breakthroughs like paradigm shift, you can falsify the earlier research. In many areas, we also the previous research, and it goes on. It addresses the real problem in the world. Good research also, whether it is utilitarianism and whatever may be, that is also criticized. But research also, one aspect is, it also addresses the real problem in the world. For example, we talk about any policy eradicating poverty, addressing inequality, or anything. This is partly we find research. Sometimes the best practices from other country, okay, we adopt. India's program like NREGA and all, many other countries adopted some way or other similar policies to empower their people. So many times these are accepted based on the research findings, where research found that certain kind of policy brings real change among people, empower people. Good research is also ethical. We cannot, in many cases, the researcher conduct unethical research, whether it is in physical science or biology or social science. Sometimes even to administer vaccine, you need to have permission from the subject where you are administering. So many times, that's why got this concept like guinea pigs. People are, unethical way, they are tested for anything new coming in market. So these are all, we should keep in mind when you do research. Anybody you are interviewing, anybody you are talking, we should take their permission, give them assurance that this research will not be used for any personal purpose or anything for selfish reason, or without their knowledge it cannot be published. Something, there are ethical guidelines one should follow. It also clearly states the variables or construct to be examined. It is also not biased. Good research should not be biased. For example, many times election forecast, you see. Many times many agencies, they to make certain party favorable, they give biased result, and these are all very unethical. Same way with happen with marketing product. Sometimes you find some, healthcare, product, especially many doctors are endorsing by taking money and all. So they're saying that research is saying that. So this ultimately create harmful impact on the among people. So this kind of research should be avoided. Research and development. This is very important, as I mentioned. Research, especially one aspect of research, as I mentioned, one is academic, other is utilitarian. When you talk about utilitarian, that also has impact on society directly or indirectly. So many countries actually invest on research and development heavily to gain knowledge about society, best practices, to bring positive change and all this. Whether it is new innovation, whether it is changing the behavior of people, whether it is creating people empowered, all this area there are research and many countries that are invested. I'll tell you that also. And research and development also address social inequality. In fact, as I mentioned, any research on poverty, inequality and all, especially in sociology, economics, all we address those kind of issues. It also addresses the aspiration of people. For example, you study such a group of people and see what their aspiration is, and accordingly bring changes in the policy. It also provides better facilities across and access and enable people to progress. So this research and development is a very important aspect in many countries, and if you see this chart is showing some of the countries they are spending close to 4% of their GDP on research and development, and America almost spend $612 billion US dollar per year to develop their research capacity. China second number, it spent quite a huge number, and 2.2% of their GDP. Japan also spent. So like this top 10 countries I have chart here, they spend huge amount of their GDP, percentage wise or absolute term also, in research and development, whether it is physical science, social science and all. You all know that lots of projects all across the world is happening with USS fund, with UK funding, all this, because what they, in fact, ultimately this result in the policy. So they know what kind of policies can create impact based on this research. For example, there are research on knowing about the political aspect, international relation aspect. There are research to know the geopolitics, so many aspects, and these are part of the research. And this research is funded by very rich countries, powerful countries like USA, and so many European countries also. They do research across the globe just to influence the policy, and it's very much important for their progress. Now I'll talk about a little bit, I give an overview about the various subjects in social sciences. These are over time, these are very much well established disciplines within the social science. For example, economics, which studies the economic behavior aspect of the people, the consumer behavior, the demand supply, the wage, and so many, international trade and all this. This is very important area of social science. Then history studied about even each subject, economics or history, anthropology, they also cut across discipline in some area. History also talked about the entire human evolution and the best practices, what is the various timeline of human civilization, what are the economics aspect, social aspect, religious aspect, every aspect studies. Anthropology talks about the primitive behavior of the about primitive society, their behavior, and today anthropology has a modern aspect also. They also studied the contemporary behavior also of a primitive, community, but mostly in its evolution, it talked about primitive communities, tribals, the secluded communities, all this, the Icelanders, all this. Psychology talked about human behavior and all. Political science talked about political system, how the parties behave, international relation and all this. Sociology talked about various aspects of society, how they behave within the community, law, linguistic, studies about the language aspect. Archaeology talked about various aspects of people's their lifestyle and all this, their various kind of we find archaeology museum and all those things. Geography talked about various locational, how the particular geography location to kind of ecology creating impact on people. So these are the well established disciplines within the social science. There are new emerging discipline also like management and all which come under social science. So this area is growing. So when I talked about this particular nature of social science, research is not for any particular community, government or anything. It is entire humanities, and research in fact provides better understanding of culture, psychology of people, and hence brings prosperity to humanity at various levels, whether it is material, mental, and also sometimes spiritual, all aspect, social science studies. And this is very much important to know, and thank you.